Hi, everybody. Wendell Mosley, Prospecting USA. Today I've got Dave Peterson, the inventor of the Dream Mat, and I'm going to let him tell you all about it. There you go, Dave. Speak up.
That's a pretty open discussion there.
Yeah,
Tell us all about the Dream Mat.
yeah.
Well, Linda wanted just to share. It sounds like I'm in groups with distributors, and suppliers with the groups of people making prospecting equipment. He asked me to come on and talk about Dream Mat, and I said, okay. Kind of like,
Yeah.
Forrest Gump said when he talks about shrimp boating, okay.
Well, like I
Um,
said last night in the message to you, that you've been a member of my club for years, and I'm proud to have somebody doing something for the prospecting community in our club.
Thank you.
And
We enjoy working for the prospectors. That's where it started in the creek, just trying to make something get us more yellow, and never imagined it would go where it did. And it took right when we got in
it
the
took a
creek,
while. It
right when
took
I
a
got
while.
in, yeah, it took a while for me to figure out, that this problem that has, a lot of people didn't feel there was a problem,
Yeah.
and a lot of people felt that everything works great, and none of the old traditions or a traditional equipment should ever even be questioned. It was we've always done it this way. We do only use tried and true old timer methods. We don't do anything new and fandangled. No hippy
Yeah.
dippy baloney, so to speak. And so we went out to the creek, and as a young prospector, I was just my uncle would run the material through the sluice, and then I would count the specks, and I couldn't figure out how come we could get 50 specks in a pan of flood gold, and then we'd run it through the sluice. We'd run buckets through the sluice and only get 50 specks of gold in the sluice, and I would tell him, hey, your sluice is losing gold. And he goes, no, it's the best sluice there is on the market. This is what everybody uses. And I'm like, well, it's still losing gold. And it just can't catch that small stuff.
Yeah.
And then all the prospectors that I was hanging around, the old timers we used to call them, and the guys who go out and prospect, and they're retired, they live for prospecting. Some of them even wear every piece of gold they've ever found in their life and jewelry on their whole body. These guys go up to Alaska every year. They're just all about prospecting. That's their
Yes.
life. And when winter comes, they're in their shop building prospecting equipment. So that's hanging around with these guys where basically they told me, a lot of times that you can't catch flour amongst boulders. You can't catch the small gold while you're trying to catch the big gold. And that's just the way it is. And so being a young mechanical designer, I took that challenge, and decided to do something with it. And it took years of tweaking and fandangling. In fact, actually, one of my old phones I dropped in the creek. This just happened this weekend. My kid was messing around and he pulls one of my old phones out of the drawer that I dropped in the creek, and it died. And he came to me and he turned it on and said, "Hey, Dad, your old phone's turning on." I go, "Oh, cool." And he charged it, and then we looked at the pictures on it, and I have a bunch of old pictures of prototyping stuff that I thought I had lost. So I'm gonna be
Yeah.
pulling those pictures off. So I got all this series of pictures which I thought I lost of prototypes that I
Actually,
went
I
through.
think I've got some of your pictures on the club page and the photos
I got
of
some
the
that
early stuff.
some of the prototypes I built, but not actually the development of the different Dream Mat cells and what they look like until it started here, boom, 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 and went up to actual development pictures people haven't seen. So,
Yeah.
anyways, it goes to show basically how I started out big, actually like coffee can size, and then got smaller. And I'm in doing this vortex thing and trying to make it happen. So, and I'm anyways, so we seem to have hit a home run or hit some pay dirt or a pay streak or whatever you want to call it, where we seem to have a product now that is, I think, in a lot of ways, you can actually say is a young product, but it's a mature product as far as this base product is out there in the market and people are buying it. And we're even making custom or defining new products off of that, targeting specific things like beach gold, fine gold recovery, dredging, wash plants. So now we're just taking the main product and we're branching off of that into specific uses. And so we're seeing that. And that takes time too, because we always think we have the best idea. And then we make it, we test it, and a lot of times it doesn't work. And then it's all about results. And so then you figure out, why isn't this working? We just did this and it should work. And then you got to work through those set of problems. So we've been doing that. And like our thermoform, it took us, I thought we could do it like 6 months. And it took us almost 2 years to get thermoform going, because the profile in the stream had to yield the results. In the profiles that we originally put into thermoform didn't yield the results because of the way a thermoform changes things a little bit. So we got that new thermoform sluice out, and it really kind of mimics the traditional Dream Mats pattern, which seemed to work the best for the recovery rate on that thermoform. In like, we got Daniel Reed out there where he's taking that thermoform and he's doing a dredge run. And then after he does a dredge run, he bungees his thermoform in the front of his dredge box and turns the water on slow. So imagine this. He's got the thermoform in the box and it up towards the front, because behind it is more dredge mats. So it's like can pick up anything he may lose. And he's running it at a low speed. So he's like putting the thermoform in there like in a normal river sluice speed, in the water flowing through the dredge. And he dumps his cons into it and does cleanups. And he's saying, buddy, I got 3 foot of Dream Mat behind me. I'm not worried about losing anything. Right there on the river, I clean up my cons in this box. And he goes, buddy, you're killing it with this thing. It's amazing. And I was like wanting to fly to North Carolina or South Carolina. He's actually in South Carolina. And give him a kiss, because I'm sitting there thinking, I never would have thought of that application and how important that is. And so here we got people that are using all sorts of different cleanup equipment, flavors of cleanup equipment, whether they're a recirculating power sluice, a cube, or smaller cleanup stuff to redo their cons on the beach, usually afterwards, or in their shop. They take them home when they're out dredging. Now, if you're out dredging and you've got a whole mat full of cons, imagine just throwing a sluice into your box, turning it down, dropping your cons on it, and boom. I'm sitting there thinking, man, people just don't see how, and I told this to a guy the other day, how the toys of the future will outperform the tools of the past. And we're seeing what we call almost not quite, I would like to say this, but it's not quite, disruptive technology. Like basically the tubeless tire getting replacing the tube tire, disc brakes replacing the drum brakes. And and if you would have told the drum brake people and the tube tire people, yeah, you're getting replaced, they would have said, that's a bunch of hippy dippy baloney. We're always going to do it this way. We're always going to do it this way. And there we go. Get some coffee going.
There you go.
Wet the whistle. But anyways, we're seeing that. And we're always hoping that when people buy the product, that they really do see the difference, because there's no reason to be in this market game and to have quit my engineering job, my brother to quit his job and build a shop and do manufacturing. I'm up in the upper loft now because they kicked me out downstairs, and the upper loft isn't finished, since we got office space that we're going to be doing up here. But so there's no reason to be in this race or in this market if we don't have something we feel that when people use it, they don't go, oh my gosh. It's got to work that good. Because if it was working the same as the other guys and stuff, why get in the race? Because they've already got the market, they've already got the business, they've already got all this stuff set up. Why try to compete against and just throwing out the same old thing, And so it's got to be an improvement. We hope that people see that. And we hope that people see we're the only company out there, prospecting company, that says, if you don't think it's an improvement and it doesn't blow your shorts off, or socks off, sorry, blow your shorts off. That was a good one. I'll save that one for later. But anyways, blow your socks off is more appropriate, I feel. We'll give you your money back and we'll pay the shipping, because we stand behind the product. But, it's hard. It's hard for the industry to sit back and go, yeah, I don't know about this. This sounds like it's hippy dippy baloney. And we hope that people, take the risk and they on a smaller, cheap, affordable product or sluice, take it out in the stream, compare the difference, and we hope we earn their business, earn their respect as far as developing a product that solves fine gold collection for them. Because look where you're at. Okay, so actually you're a little further away from like North Carolina and South Carolina that has some nuggets in the stream. So what kind of gold?
Right. I'm in Anniston, Alabama. We got Alabama Gold Camp down here at Cragford. I go to, and it's all small gold.
It's all small gold. Yep.
Yeah.
So when I first started this, we had people from Ohio, Kansas, Iowa. We have a guy from Iowa. It's like there's gold in Iowa, and they're like, "Shut up! There ain't no gold in Iowa." But see, there's fine gold everywhere. But when you develop a piece of equipment that can catch the fine gold, it's kind of like fishing. Some people want to go fishing, some people don't. Some people want to go prospecting, but everywhere they prospect, they would be like, "There's no fish in the hole." But if you're able,
no gold, no nuggets, no nuggets.
If you're able to catch fish, and so we see our equipment seems to be catching. Like you go down the Walmart aisle and you see all those lures. Which one do you buy? Which one is dang like Bill Engvall says a dang corn dog, and which one is or which one works?
Well, how small of a unit does your mats fit?
So we got, for sluicing, our smallest unit is the Adventure Sluice, which is 4 inches, which is actually this guy right here. So here's our Adventure Sluice, and so about 4 inches wide for a sluice. Actually, we have some pocket sluices, but they're not really a novelty, but they're more for testing and more not so much for like if you put in a backpack or you're on a motorcycle or you're just in your glove box of your truck and you go by a creek and you're thinking, I need to run down there and test that, or else I'm not going to live with myself, or out on a trip or something.
Yeah,
and it's just a test, but that's more for like you could actually sluice with that, and actually go out there and produce some pay. And we got a lot of people say, they're running that little 4-inch sluice, and it's producing, or they're able to shove into it as much as they normally would in their 6-inch sluices. And that's another thing about DreamMat. This was nice about our profiles, even though we recommend always what the recommendation is for what's really should happen in here. The product runs unclassified, and so I don't have to classify to this in a crate,
right?
And it'll run and catch gold. And a lot of people's equipment, they're classifying, especially smaller equipment, screen off. And I think the only reason a person should classify is because they don't want to carry a bunch of dumb rocks from where they're digging over to where their sluice is at, because there's no reason to carry rocks over. So they'll classify to carry the bucket over. But if you're able to set this thing up, not all cricks and places are able to like that, but if you're able to set this thing up in the creek right where you're shoveling, then you can just shovel right into it. And so you save a lot of time. And we really are catching the flower amongst the boulders. And so we see a lot of people that really appreciate that. And it seems like we're catching gold a lot of other pieces of equipment have struggled with, like the wire gold.
Yeah.
And the really round gold that rolls out, so in the real flat potato chip, ruffle chips, wavy ruffle chips, we're catching a lot of that gold. And so that's what's nice about the equipment,
I got one of those.
The smallest one. Of course, we go bigger from there.
I've got one of those little 14-inch PVC gutter sluice that for doing cleanups.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a mat that would go in there instead of
what's the width on that? Because we just actually came out with a 5-inch mat. But that mat's going in the top of the Mini Monster. But it's a combo mat, so 16 inches long, and so you can buy a couple of those. Okay. And we have these banjo mats. We call them banjo mats or rain gutter mats that go into the regular profile rain gutters that you would buy like from Walmart or not Walmart, sorry, Home Depot or Lowe's. that basically go in the bottom of those.
That's what I'm talking about. Is the rain gutter.
Yep. We got those mats. Basically, they go also would clip into the bottom of a banjo pan and replace that conveyor belt that's in the bottom of it. And so basically that's what we kind of built it for, because a lot of people had the banjo pan and they were reaching out to us saying, hey, I would like a little piece of micro mat for this. And that's what you see a lot of our products. A lot of people, some people have issues with this. I don't. We have people that call us all the time or email us or text us or sit on our website and they go, I need a mat for this. I need a mat for this. And usually, one person asks, we think about it. We're like, yeah, guy's asking for a mat for this. Okay, cool. And then pretty soon my brother Tim goes, we've had 4 people ask for mats for that this last month. And so then we write the mat, we write what they want on the board, and we just start putting tick marks next to it. And after a while, you get all these tick marks. It's like, yeah, this ain't going away.
Yeah.
People are asking mat for this. So what do? We're Dream Mat. We make mats. And a lot of the equipment that's out there is already established. And we're not really looking at replacing the equipment. We don't got time to do that. We don't got time to copy people's equipment. We don't want to copy their equipment. We want their equipment to stand on its own. And so we make mats for them. We make mats that go into the banjo pan, the rain gutters.
Yeah.
We make mats that go into the cube. We make mats, of course, that go into all these standard sluice boxes that are out there. And one of the things that we started doing is, of course, which was obvious it was going to happen, we start making sluices for our mats. And why did we start making sluices for the mats? Because a lot of people make sluices, and they make them all different sizes. So we took the standard lengths that we kind of felt were out there before these sluices started getting shorter, because that's the trend, 6, 8, 10, 12-inch sluices. And we just basically said, well, how about this? Let's not try and compete with all these guys that are established. They make sluices for a living. They got these great boxes. They got all the bells and whistles. Let's not compete with these guys. Let's just make the cheapest, simplest sluice you can find in clamp. And I go, why simple? Because then that allows the cost to come so down so low that a person, if they're a starter, they can get into a sluice and a mat for affordable price and decide if they want that size or not. And then if they want to go all hog wild or crazy or get something with, that's got fang dangled, they can get a different sluice from somebody else, because we're not really interested in the equipment market. We want to have, but we do have standard equipment to put stuff in. But you'll see with all of our stuff, it's pretty simple. In simple in a way which is elegant, which means it's straightforward, simple, and there isn't all the bells and whistles to it, because it's allowing prospectors. Because I go prospecting a lot. Well, not a lot. I used to, but I still go prospecting. And one thing I notice is that, you got people from all walks of life. You got the guy pulling up with the $300,000 motorhome and the $200,000 travel trailer, pulling behind it the matching color, pulling into an LDA site. You get that, right? But then you got the guy who's actually living out of his camper, which is a little old Winnebago or a pickup camper in the back of his truck. And so you got you realize you got this whole price range, just like everybody else out there, of products. And so you got to be able to make the guy who's, and I see this a lot, and I talk to these people because I can actually relate to those people more than a lot of people. I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm not trying to be saying I got a certain liking of people, but I have a lot of disabled and veterans in my family, in some way, but and also handicapped. So a lot of those people are on fixed incomes, and so you realize you got to create a product that these people can afford to get into and enjoy. And also I even discount for those folks, because I know that a lot of them, earn our respect as veterans, but then a lot of them, as far as like almost would say, and I'm old now, I'm 50 some years old, but I still look at it like we gotta respect our elders. There's these people, they've worked hard, their bodies are broken, they're on a fixed income, they're kind of retired and trying to make it happen. And we see a lot of those in the prospecting community, and I respect those folks, and so getting them products that are going to help them out and go get more gold and shiny on their weekends, I hope they appreciate what we're doing, trying to do for them, and it's a win-win, so hopefully they get into they like the products, They show us what we're doing, and that kind of stuff. And and also I try to get into the groups a lot, like the scouts or youth groups, because my stepdad was an Eagle Scout, Order of the Arrow, and we were in scouts as kids. And I'm not in the scouts, even though I've had my boys in scouts for a little bit. I see the importance of basically, connecting to, not just for me, my past and everything, and helping out the community, because when I was young, there were people helping out. And so you got to, I've already got to pay it back. It's already been paid forward for me. And when I grew up, and we got to do the same thing for everybody else, not only for our older folks that are, whether they're on a fixed income or disabled, or the youth groups. They've already, in my life, they've already paid it forward, and I'm just paying back. And so we got to basically get out there and be a part of that. And that breeds community, which is very important, because I think that's one thing that our prospecting has a tight knit community. Now it's getting bigger. So we got a lot of young people coming into the community, especially online and Facebook and all this kind of stuff. And one of the things we don't want to do is lose our identity with this. We want to keep our identity of community with these folks, besides, that's kind of off the subject there. It's not really about Dream Mat, but that's just kind of how I feel.
Yeah.
It's kind of nice, it's kind of nice when you feel like you're part of a family when you're out prospecting and doing stuff, and you trust the group that you're with, and and you can go down to the creek and prospect and don't have to worry about locking everything up because there's people up at the campsite, because they're all part of the family. They're part of the group, and you go out and have a good time, and there aren't a lot of activities like that out there.
Yeah, I got my baby girl right here. She heard a noise and she barked.
Yeah, my little yappers are at home.
Well, what's the biggest operation that you know of using your mats?
We got an operation up in Alaska, and so Harold's using our mat. He's a guy that's on the Facebook community. He's pretty public, and he's using our mat this last season. And they're basically let us know they're going to be looking us up for more seasons. We almost flew up there, but the schedules just didn't work. Had some rain issues, some equipment issues, but they're doing pretty good up there. And that was a pretty big operation. They were using the mats in some tailing plants, and in the main plant doing some testing, but I think they kept put them into tailing plants because the main plant was losing so much gold.
Yeah.
Stand on it and look at it on the ground behind the rig. So they were rerunning the tailings. 2 other plants rerunning the tailings. And so they're looking at a way trying to mitigate that. And they're putting the Dream Mats in there, and they're appreciating it. And like last year, we had 10 Mile Creek. I don't think it's called 6 Mile Creek. I think it's called 10 Mile Creek up there in the Yukon. We were on the there was every year up in the Yukon, they have like this conference, and the government sits and talks about all the placer mining that's going on in the wash plants, and kind of gets a report on how they do, what challenges they're up against, kind of lets people see what's happening in the industry and stuff like that. We were on that 10 Mile Creek, and the geologists of the state that went up there and were looking at what they were doing in that mine, and that site was producing very well. We're, during the whole conference, didn't mention anybody else's equipment or brand names or nothing. Just talking about moving dirt, what pay zones are up against, how much overburden they got, what kind of what their challenges are on site, what their challenges are getting to pay, how and just different just talking about the mines and how they're working. When they hit Creek, they said there's a new product out on the market, Dream Mat, and it's working great as a concentrator, very well, very durable. They were impressed that they mentioned that our product up in that creek, and that actually, we showed some cleanups on the internet. Well, actually, Paul Jarvis did, because Paul Jarvis landed us that account. I mean, he's like a distributor for us up there, and he met the people and sold them Dream Mats, and they got them in their cleanup equipment and also in their main recovery, the dredge mats in their wash plant, and that's what they're running. And they showed some cleanups of that. Jarvis did, and put some Paul Jarvis's video, and you would be amazed. You would be amazed at how many people, even experienced miners, not just we call them armchair prospectors, people, pretend they're prospectors in
Yeah.
their underwear at night, on their computer that don't go out and do anything. Of how many experienced miners basically said, bull crap, nobody catches that much gold in any plant anywhere. And it's like they're showing the cleanups and they're just flooding the box full of gold. And it's like,
Yeah.
well, what do gold miners do? Don't they get gold? Don't they collect gold? When I was working with Bob, he's a local miner. He's retired. He's working retirement. He's working into being really retired now soon because he's got some health issues, but he's getting there. He just can't quit. And Bob has a great network. He's worked with a lot of the networks on TV and helps find locations for like Freddie Dodge stuff. And just he knows all these people. He knows Dave, Dozer Dave, and all these people. He knows these guys, and he's up at a job site and doing some work on one of his claims, Confederate Gulch. And I think they pulled out. I'm guessing, I could be wrong, but I think they pulled out almost $500,000 in three months worth of gold at this location. And they're catching it, and they're actually using a dream mat as a primary recovery mat, reverse helix. And that's what gold miners do. They catch gold. In some areas cannot have gold. It's always a risk, and some do. Me and Bob actually went into a little venture on a new location. He asked me to kind of hang out with them and pitch in with them on a little venture, and it didn't work out. So, had great test holes, great possibilities. We opened it up, the panel, and did the work, started the work, and now we just got to do reclamation to get our bond back. So we spent money and we lost it, but that's gold mining. That's why I think a lot of it isn't like carpentry work or being a plumber or something like that, or it's just a different industry. And it takes sometimes a little deeper pockets or understanding, and there's risk involved. But we see we see a lot of gold pictures from folks that buy our drench mats in these wash plants, these bigger operations, and they send us pictures, and then they say, "Don't show anybody these pictures, but this is what we're catching." And I'm like, "Why don't you want me to show the pictures?" And they're like, "Yeah." And a lot of it is, I think, people are just. They don't want no one going to their site. They don't want no one knowing what they're doing. They just want to keep a low profile. They don't want to bring attention to themselves. And that's just their business. And it's okay. But the deal is, we know the people they're talking to other people because we see it. For example, this is what we see. This is what we see behind the scenes. So we sell some dredge mats up to a wash plant, some of these bigger operations in a certain area. And then the order goes in. And then a couple weeks later, bing, you start getting all these orders from this area, and you know exactly what's going on because you see the area. And some of them call you and they say, "Oh yeah, I saw so and so's plant running. I'm ordering some mats too." Actually, you want to hear a funny story? All right, story time. I always got to tell a story. You can't get away. You're not.
That's what I want. Good story.
Yeah, right. So we did this job up in the Yukon, and these guys buy these 4 dredge mats and they put them in this plant. And there's 3 miners, 3 different claims, but they work together kind of as a their partnership. I don't know how their partnerships work, but they're kind of partners, and they all cruise up to their claims. Are right next to each other, and they work it, and kind of work around all this stuff. Anyways, and so the one guy buys some dream mats and he runs them, and they're like, it runs them on a Friday, tests them out on a Friday before they're heading back down, and they were just like blown away with the gold in the box. They're all excited. So they go back to town. Next Monday, the guy shows up and his dream mats are gone. And he's like, "Man, I got ripped off." So he runs up to his first neighbor, says, "Man, someone ripped me off, stole my dream mats." And he's all going, "No." So our buddy's got him up at his claim. He's been running them all weekend because he saw what happened to you on Friday, and he knew you were leaving, so he stole them from the weekend. And the guy runs up there, and he's still running dirt through his mats, and he had to get his mats back from his buddy because his buddy stole the mats and ran them all weekend because he was so impressed. But that's that's what we see all the time. And then a lot of people, these armchair quarterbacks, or you would say armchair miners, and people on the internet that know everything but have never been to a mine and never been out prospecting and all this stuff say, till I see it on Gold Rush, it isn't real. And
Yeah,
I'm like,
really.
okay, well, you just keep doing that. You just tell us how that works out for you, and I go, until I see you out prospecting, you're not real. And see, that's a lot of what's going on here is, and the internet is a good thing, but it's also a bad thing. But,
Yeah.
one of the things that is a good thing is we hope is when people get our products that they see the difference, and that's hopefully a good thing. And we even, with our wash plant guys, we even tell them, buy a couple mats, test it. If you love it, order a bunch. And and because we'll guarantee you on that first small order that you run to test it, if you don't love it, you can send them back. We'll even pay the shipping, and they don't come back.
Yeah.
And
Well, a couple of years back, when you were first getting wound up, you had a place in Australia order some of your mats.
well, Australia is one of our distributors and also one of our manufacturers. So Gold Rat Prospect or High Bankers at the time, they're called Gold Rat Engineering now, is a guy that had worked with two other guys running prospecting stores, worked with a guy, the partnership fell apart, worked with another guy, partnership fell apart. And so he's developing prospecting stuff and making stuff. And then he decides, well, I'm going to go out on my own because I'm tired of working with people. And so he is sporting a different mat. The mats that go together, everybody knows what they are. I won't mention their name. And he's getting ready to release this new High Banker that has the High Banker main portion, and then it flares out and it has like an extension. And he buys it, and right about this time, my mat hits the market, and I send him some. And he goes, Dave, I bought your mat and tested it. And I go, so, yeah, cool. Yeah. What do you think? He goes, this really sucks. And I go, what do you mean it really sucks? Well, I'm getting ready to launch my new product, and I can't launch it knowing that your mat works better than the mats I got in there. And I'm going, you think so? And he goes, without a doubt. There's not, he goes, in fact, this is how good they work. I don't even have to sell the extension and burn people down with that price. I could get better recovery in my 3 foot in the main box than with the 3 foot extension behind, 6 foot of the other extension behind it. So now I can offer a product that has better recovery, shorter box, easier to get into the bush, and less price. And he goes, it's a total win-win. And then we start talking about setting them up some mats and shipping them. And he's looking at the cost. And this was early on in the product. And he goes, hey, I want to approach you with a business opportunity. And I go, what's that? And he goes, if we can get these mats to Australians for a decent price, I'll make them. And let's do a partnership, and I'll send you royalties. And he manufactures for me. And he sends me royalties. And he like throws his money at me. And he's going like, man, I love you. And we've had a great relationship because he's just straight up, honest guy. I could kind of tell that just by his family and the way things he did his business and the way talking to him. I took the risk, and it's worked out. Dustin's a great guy. He's a huge advocate. Yeah. Dustin earns almost what he should be giving me in royalties. I'm teasing him. I don't want him to see this in the marketing he does for me and what he does for me for my product. And so he is out there just a huge advocate for Dream Mat, does a great job. And it's not just about making money. Like he said, it's about recovery. It's about making the customers happy. And he's made like Dream Mat a home brand name in Australia, which is great. So that's what's going on in Australia, So that's exciting, that whole relationship there, that when people see the worth of a product and they grab onto it, because he's like, because he always tells me, he goes, you guys in the United States are always, Ford, Chevy, doing all this marketing. You guys got your stickers on your trucks and the best bow or the best hunting gun and all, or your what underwear you're wearing, or Under Armour, and all this stuff. You guys are all about this stuff. And he goes, here in Australia, we don't care. We just want what works. And we don't, all the hype and all the bull crap, we don't want that. We just want what works. That's kind of neat that, that.
Our internet seems to be starting to mess up here. You're freezing up and breaking up. I don't know if I am or not.
Teasing you. Special effects.
Yeah. So we're going to go ahead and shut it down right now and let this be the whole show, and we'll get it posted where everybody can see it.
Works for me.
All right. I'm glad you came on, and thanks a ton.
You bet. Thank you for your time.
All right. Let me get this thing set right.
Cool beans.